Alright guys, I just wanted to give a walkthrough of the entire dust collection system as a whole. Just because there were some parts in the video that I missed, and I wanted to just touch base with you guys on everything in the system. So here's the barrel from the first build. Basically one of the items that I didn't talk about in the build is I actually came back and I used Gorilla Tape around the rim, and what that kind of helps with is the seal around the edge, and it seems to be working fairly well. There's still some air leakage, but everything seems to be working okay. I might try to get a hold of some gasketing material to make that a little bit of a tighter seal. The next portion, as you move up, this is my homemade cyclone. I didn't really go over this much in depth in the video. I think I did ask if you guys wanted to hear more about it. I can do a video on that. I don't actually have a recording of the build, but I could talk about it a little bit. Up on top, that's my Harbor Freight dust collector. So I talked a little bit about that. It's a great value for the buy, and the thing works fantastic. I couldn't ask for a better one for the price. As you come out, this is the exhaust, and that's just Schedule 40 PVC that I had laying around the house, and same thing with the fittings. And up on top there, I basically exhausted the dust collection system to the external portion of the shop. I didn't have any issues. Drilled a hole out the back. It faces my backyard, and I used a dryer vent hose there, and on the outside I actually used the dryer vent, the style that has the flaps. I don't really know what they're called, but I think I picked all that stuff up for fairly cheap, basically in the section at Menards that has all the stuff that you would use to vent a dryer to the exterior of a home. Moving on over here, it comes out of the dust collector just with a fitting that I glued in. It's a coupler that I glued in to a board that I screwed to the dust collection, or to the cyclone. Comes off of there, 90s up, and it gives me the main line going down the shop. And I'm going to try to get a little bit of a better shot here. With the lighting, it doesn't really work that great. So here it comes across the shop, 90s down, and then tees off up top. Comes down to, this would be, and I'm kind of in the middle of a project, so I apologize for the mess, but this is a bench that I have my bandsaw and drill press set up on, and I reduced, and this is a Schedule 40 fitting that fit over the top of the sewer pipe T, and I put that on, and it's a reducer, a 4 inch to 2 inch reducer fitting, and it comes to this would be a street 90, a 2 inch street 90 that comes down, connects to this length of PVC, which brings you down to a T here, and it tees off and it goes to two locations. It comes over here to the drill press, and a hose comes off, and basically I just have this hanging loose, and I plan on, more or less, I plan on just leaving it that way, and then after I get done drilling, I feel like just vacuuming up the shavings would be the easiest, and I can use it to kind of vacuum up this bench in general. This is one of the 2-inch blast gates that I made, and it's basically, like I said, it's kind of a conglomeration of a couple different designs I looked online. It's primarily the J. Bates version, especially I have the tape that closes the back when it turns on. So going across, I've got the same thing on the other side, and this is just a blast gate that goes to my bandsaw. Now this piping I used is actually working out fairly well. That's actually a sump pump drain line out of the plumbing section at the hardware store, and I think I got like 20 feet of it for, it was $10, or 25 feet for $10. I still have quite a bit left. The only downside to that is, and I don't know if I can get a good shot of this, but on the inside there's the ribbed edge, and for some reason that ribbed edge kind of creates somewhat of a whistle when the dust collection system is on. So I'm hoping it's not terrible depending on the orientation of the hose, and it's not too extreme to where it's that much of an issue for me. It seems like I have better luck when the hose is more of in a straight configuration, like it is over here for my bandsaw. and that seems to reduce the whistling a little bit. So basically, to reduce in there, you saw in the video, I sanded down the inside. So this coupling here that comes off the 2-inch fittings is a 2-inch reducer down to 1.5 inches, so a 2-inch to 1.5 inch reducer coupling. And I was able to sand down the 1.5 inch end just with the spindle sander on the drill press, and get it to where I could fit this in fairly snug. And to keep this one, since I'm moving it around from pulling out, I did use a little bit of heat tape here, a little bit of foil tape, which seems to be working pretty well. Over here, I actually sanded it down almost perfectly, and I'm not really having too much of an issue with it coming loose. That hose pretty much stays stationary. On the back side has the fitting that's actually built into the bandsaw itself, and that works out pretty well. I was able to just push the fitting inside. It was a little loose, so I wrapped a little bit of heat tape around it. Moving on down the line, this is one of the 4-inch blast gates that I showed in the build. I did on most of these, I drew a line, so as you pull the blast gate out, you see this line here, and it kind of helps from pulling it all the way out. So it works pretty well. Oops. It works pretty well as a whole. Those blast gates, actually I shouldn't say pretty well, they work fantastically. I haven't had an issue at all in the last couple of weeks that I've been using this. It comes down to my planer here. No issues there. I just came off the tee and went straight to the planer. Then the pipe continues down, and I put a blast gate here. This is right over the top of the joiner, and it's proved to be in a pretty convenient spot. It works out pretty well. It goes down and it connects to there's a hose that connects to the bottom there. And right now I just have the hose just kind of laying down at the chip point, at the chip fall point of the joiner itself. It's working okay. As you can see, there's a little bit of chips kind of laying around down there. I do have a piece that I'm going to install on that, so the hose goes directly to it. I just haven't had a spare opportunity to do that yet. So going back up the line, back up the main, it comes down the shop here. At some point, and you can see I'm kind of setting up to start on a miter saw station over there. At some point I'm going to tap in a T, probably somewhere right in this location here, and run a line that goes straight down the shop there to the miter saw station, and it'll pick up the miter saw dust. So, but coming back to the main feed, it comes around at 90s to the right here, and then 90s down the wall. Now, over in this area, I haven't quite finished everything up that I'd like to do. So this is my sanding station here. I've got my small belt sander, my 12-inch homemade disc sander, and then my larger belt sander over there. And basically I plan on, just like the station over on the other side of the garage with the drill press and the bandsaw, I plan on reducing down to 2-inch with a 4 to 2-inch Schedule 40 reducer off of this blast gate. Actually, I'll be probably, I'm up in the air. I might eliminate that blast gate and just use a coupling there, or I might keep the blast gate there, because I do plan on each one of these sanding spots having their own blast gate. So at some point I'll run this 2-inch PVC, and I'll use probably this sewer pipe to actually tee off of. And I have a couple of the fittings laying here where I was kind of starting on that. So as you go down the line at 90s over, and it comes across the floor and underneath the outfeed table for the table saw, the outfeed / work table, and I just have a hose coming, a 4-inch supply, a 4-inch flexible hose coming off of there, dust collection hose, and it ties right into the back of the table saw there, and that's the dust collection form for my table saw. Now, one of the things I'm not real fond of, but it seems to be working okay, is the fact that I have this blast gate for the table saw located on this side. So it's probably good from the actual table saw location. So standing here cutting, looking over, that's probably 10 foot walk or so. So 10 feet away isn't bad. It seems to work okay. At some point when I get the rest of this dust collection piece, this last leg in here, I'll show you guys I'll do an update on that, and same goes with the miter saw station. I'm really hoping to get to starting building that miter saw station possibly even this weekend, if not next weekend. So I think the last thing I'll show you guys, and this is kind of it seems to be working out okay. This is just a remote plug that I bought at the local home center. This was at Menards. I'm sure you can get similar ones. And I was reading on the package the different amperages that they're rated for. I do know that this Harbor Freight dust collector, I believe it's a 2 horsepower, has a 15 amp draw. Unfortunately, if you jump up from 15 amps to a 20 amp remote plug, the cost increases pretty significantly by $20 or $30, it seemed like. So what I did is I bought this. Typically the draw when it first starts up is going to be higher than probably what it generally runs at, and I'm sure it says that in the ratings, but I bought this just to give it a try, and it seems to be working pretty well. It doesn't seem to be putting much strain on the motor. I do know it's not good for the motor to do that, but it seems to be working okay. And I'll just kick it on here. So you can hear it fire up, you can hear it get to full speed, and once it gets to full speed, it seems like it doesn't have any issues. So this is the remote that it came with, and it actually came with 3 different remote plugs that could be used separately. So I have one going here, and then I actually, in an upcoming video, I kind of go over where I set up. I have one of these, this is a Dust Deputy Cyclone, and basically this is what I use for my assembly table, and I've piped that Dust Deputy Cyclone up underneath, and I have a fitting here. And again, this is a 2 to 1 inch reducer coupling, and I was able to take just some 2-inch vacuum hose and attach it to the bottom side of this, and this is liquid nailed from underneath, and it's pretty sturdy. It's holding up fairly well. The hose that I have is just, we recently bought a new vacuum in the house, and this was the hose for the old vacuum, and it's a pretty nice hose. It pulls apart, it stretches pretty far. I can get all the way over by my table, so I can vacuum up there, but I took the end, and I don't know if you can see it, but I basically just went over to the strip sander and sanded that down until I was able to get a nice snug fit, and I haven't done anything with that. I just kind of push it in, and it seems to hold pretty well, seems to work pretty well, and I'll just turn this on with the remote to show you. So it's resulted in pretty good suction, and it seems to be working pretty well for the smaller tools like my random orbital sander there, as well as I hope to get dust collection set up on my router and router table. I think the router table I'm actually going to hook up to the main dust collection system, but I'm kind of undecided on that yet. So I hope you guys enjoyed my dust collection system setup, and please like and subscribe to the video and leave a comment if there's anything that you guys would like me to touch base on further. Thanks guys, thanks for watching.